Hi, and welcome to The Beyond, stories from around the world. This video takes us to the dense, arboreal forests of the taiga in Russia's Far East. This area of Russia is filled with wildlife, both predators and prey, with the pinnacle of this food chain being the magnificent Amur tiger. It's truly amazing that there are people who can survive in this unforgiving land. Vladimir Markov, a poacher, was out poaching in the depths of winter in 1997. He had a remote cabin that he used to use as a home base for his hunting trips. He spent a lot of time there, as he was unemployed, but a brave and resourceful man can hunt, fish, and trap enough to survive. Markov said his goodbyes to his wife before having a friend drive him to his cabin. Markov and his friend packed their supplies into the cabin as he was preparing to settle down for the night to hunt in the morning. The next morning, Markov woke early, grabbed his gun, and headed out the door. The temperatures were well below zero, but he was used to it. Him and his dogs were not hunting anything in particular, but what they wanted most was anything that he could resell on the black market. This could be meat from deer, or boars, or pelts from wolves, snow leopards, or even tigers. Tigers and leopards are protected by law, but yield an enormous amount of money to the Chinese black markets. As Markov led his dogs through the forest on foot, they came across a huge track of a male Siberian tiger. Markov couldn't believe his luck, and he wasn't going to not attempt to seize this opportunity. The pack followed the tracks for a few miles as it meandered through the thick bush and over the rugged terrain. The dog started barking as Markov approached the end of the trail. He then caught sight of the huge cat. It was feasting on its recent kill, a wild boar. As the tiger snarled at him, Markov raised his shotgun and fired at the beast. He was a sure shot, as his livelihood depended on it, and the cat flashed through the white birch forest as it disappeared from his view. He was certain that he'd mortally wounded the tiger, and now he had a bonus. He would also be able to harvest the meat from the wild boar. He walked over to the boar that the tiger was feeding on and began cutting himself some of the fresh meat. Markov salvaged a good amount of meat from the boar's carcass and then turned his attention to the tiger, which he was sure would be lying dead over the ridge. He spotted the cat's enormous tracks littered with blood in the snow and began following them. The fresh snow made it easy. As he followed the tracks for over a mile, he noticed less and less blood in the snow. He understood that he would not be able to catch up with the tiger if it wasn't mortally wounded. Disappointed, he headed back towards his cabin to get out of the bitter cold. At least his hunt provided him with some wild boar meat. He would feed his dogs and himself and hunt again the following day. When Markov gets back to his cabin, he takes one of the hindquarters of the boar and stores it in his outbuilding to keep it fresh. Markov headed back to town to trade some of the boar meat for some camp supplies and more ammunition for his shotgun. While Markov was in town, the wounded tiger returned to his boar to find it had been stolen. The scent of Markov and his dogs were all around it. The enraged tiger followed the scent, ultimately to Markov's cabin. The tiger finds the stored meat in the outbuilding and reclaims his kill, also while completely destroying the small outbuilding. Markov built it himself. It was never designed to withstand a furious large male Amur tiger. The big cat, clearly not satisfied with reclaiming its hunt, it was out for revenge on the man that shot him earlier. When Markov returned with his supplies, just as he was approaching his cabin, he heard a snarling from the woodline. As he rushed to the cabin, the tiger burst from the dense forest. Markov quickly took aim and unleashed another shot from his trusty shotgun, clearly hitting the beast as it spun and let out an almighty roar. Before Markov had a chance to fire again, the tiger had disappeared as fast as it had appeared into the deep forest. In the Far East, tigers are believed to have a vengeful and calculating aspect to their behaviour. Locals believe that they hold grudges and exact revenge for long periods of time. Markov decides he must leave the tiger and depart to his friend's cabin as the situation is troubling him. He is now the hunted, not the hunter. At his friend's cabin, he tries to convince him to stay with him for the night, and initially Markov agreed, but after several vodkas, Markov finds his resolve and decides against staying with his friend. He decides to return to his cabin and deal with the tiger the only way he knows how to, by killing it, shooting it and killing it, once and for all. While Markov was gone, the tiger gained entry into his cabin by demolishing the door. The man's scent was everywhere in the cabin, and the cat chewed, clawed and bit anything that smelled like him. The tiger found a water drinking ladle, flattened it and put canine two-side holes in it. The tiger shreds, splinters and destroys any of the man's tools and possessions that it finds. After he has finished ransacking the cabin, he goes to a well-hidden location and waits over the trail for Markov. As the now resolved Markov approaches his own cabin in the dark, the tiger swiftly ambushes him. The fight, if you can call it that, didn't last long. Investigators would find a horrid scene with the surrounding snow covered in blood at the point where the tiger and human tracks met. A bloody drag trail leads to another cleared out circle where they discovered the remainders of Markov. His boots and bloodied clothes still held their respective body parts. The sleeves still cover the severed arm. A team of professional hunters were selected to locate and dispatch of the tiger, as it is now known to be a man-eater. It didn't take long, as the tiger was still badly injured from being shot twice by Markov. This majestic animal had to lose its life because it took the life and devoured someone that had tried to take its life.